With my haircut, do I look like Homelander? Fucked Billy the Butcher.
Oh, mate, if I come down there and kill me some soups, huh?
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Wow.
There is a bit of a contradiction going on, not necessarily here or here or here, but here and here.
Hi, it's me from the Welcome to Wonderland podcast. Are you looking for the perfect blend of nostalgia and patriotism in your wardrobe? Look no further than ZJZ Designs, available now at zjzdesigns.com. Their exclusive t-shirt collection features stunning designs like the iconic Plymouth Barracuda print, taking you back to the golden era of muscle cars. Show your love for your country with their bold patriotic heart designs that stand out and make a statement. From car enthusiast to proud patriot, ZJZ Designs has something special just for you. Head to ZJZ Designs and elevate your style. Visit zjzdesigns.com or check the show notes.
Barrett again from What the Pod Was That and the All About Nothing podcast for Everplay Sports and Social League. Fall registration is open now for a bunch of leagues, including Wednesday and Thursday kickball at B and M Avenues in West Columbia, Tuesday super recreational kickball at B Avenue in West Columbia, indoor volleyball on Mondays and Tuesdays at the Tri-City Leisure Center in West Columbia, softball on Sundays and Mondays at Pacific Park in Columbia, Tuesday 10-week bowling at Bolero in Casey, Wednesday soccer in West Columbia, pickleball on Mondays at the Casey Tennis and Fitness Center. Registration for all fall leagues is open through August 21st, except Tuesday bowling at Bolero. Registration is open through August 5th. Also, registration is now open for 3 to 4-person teams for the 8th Masters of Putt-Putt at Frankie's Fun Park on Friday, August 23rd. Sign up now as this event will sell out. Register by August 22nd. It's a lot of fun, and if you're in the Columbia area, you should definitely sign up now. So check out everplaysocial.com for details and registration. Everplay Sports and Social League. Play, socialize, and have fun.
The All About Nothing podcast may have language and content
that isn't appropriate for some.
Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome, Nothingers, to another episode of the All About Nothing podcast. This is episode number 218. 218.
It's a lot.
I am Barrett Gruber.
I am Zachary King.
And I'm Bill Fry.
There you go. All right, that was what I wanted. Please subscribe to the show.
Really.
So please subscribe to the show. That's how we get new listeners.
Your cadence took over and passed on to all of us.
Just waiting for me to say Bill Fry.
And I'm
Please subscribe and share the show. That's how we get new listeners. Also, if you can, please consider supporting the show financially by visiting our website and clicking on the support link. If you can't do that, please drop us a review, hit the 5 stars, give us a thumbs up, or leave a comment. All that helps drive us higher up in the ratings for all of these podcasts. Also, real quick, just to get some business out of the way, because I wrote it down, so we'll talk about it anyway. Thanks again, John Caucus, Jr., Broadcast and Media Relations Manager, Columbia Fireflies, for our Nothing or Firefly update. You get those exclusively here on the All About Nothing podcast. No one else in Columbia does that. And if you're listening to us in Germany, congratulations. You get to be honorary Firefly fans. Also, thanks for listening to us in Germany. Lots of German downloads lately.
Really?
Yeah. The
Guten Tag.
The 2024 Soda City Comic Con's coming up August 24th and 25th. Again, they just announced very recently Sam Witwer. Am I saying that?
Sam Witwer.
Whitwer. Yeah, Sam Witwer. I said Whitmer.
Yeah, what did I say? Yeah,
like I was talking to Leroy Jenkins. I was talking to Leroy Green earlier today. That I told him, I said, you basically don't have the last 15 to 20 years of Star Wars without Sam Witwer. I mean,
you don't have a lot of stuff. Like he was the protagonist, and it was like Lucas had a lot of say in it, but he was the first time they really like put someone in a game, an actor, with that Force Unleashed, and then Force Unleashed 2. He was the main protagonist. Antagonist in the first one, kind of, but Vader's hidden protege. Days Gone, like I said, best zombie game I've ever played. Awesome game. Battlestar Galactica. So much Star Wars. He is Darth Maul now. He was Darth Maul in Solo.
Yeah. Just amazing. So, just check out SodaCityComicCon.com for tickets, details, all that. The panel interviews are up now as far as the times when the celebrities are going to be up on stage. So make sure to check all that out. Again, details, tickets, SodaCityComicCon.com. Want to thank Eric Barnes also for being on the last episode of and remind everybody to check out his podcast, History Man. Thoroughly enjoyed the conversation with Eric. A lot of fun. I did find out he was a little nervous about being on with us for a little bit, but I think thanks mostly to Zach, he came around very quickly.
We wore him down. I loved the conversation. I loved learning. South Carolina history is bountiful, and how much that guy knows is just awesome. Eric,
yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. It was we heard some stories that I had never heard before, and I think he said that some of them were things that he hadn't actually talked to people about before too.
I kind of wished when we were talking about the roads, I kind of wished to ask him, is there a road we use today that was the exact same road that they finally just paved one day? You know what I mean? Oh
yeah. Well, Old State Highway used to go from Charleston all the way up to the upstate, up in Greenville. And
that's still one? I don't know. I'm the worst at directions and road names.
So part of it, the part that goes through Casey near where Kodak near where, well, I guess I'm not sure. I think if you get past Kodak Eastman, that it's shut down, and you can't go any further because the Casey City Police, the Lexington County Police, and the state troopers all said this is not a road that we want any responsibility to, and it was easier just to pull up all the asphalt and put up some barriers. Now it's a trail you can walk on.
Nice.
So it's really cool. Plus, at the end of it, there's an old slave church. I think that's actually still in use as an AME church that is actually on the property that is owned by one of the guys that was one of the roadies for Hootie and the Blowfish. And the reason that I know that is because my buddy Don and I tried to sneak onto said property at one point. To which we were bombarded by 3 or 4 guys on ATVs. The guy, the lead.
I think you told me that story.
Yeah, the lead approached the car and said, "Do you have any firearms in the car?" And we were like, "No."
Quick, Bill, what was it?
Someone's speeding. It's every time. I swear, the patrols are so far down the road, and continue, Barrett. I'm sorry.
No worries. So we had basically a 2-hour conversation with this guy talking about he was with Hootie and the Blowfish. I told him, I said I knew the guy from Hootie and the Blowfish. Now I can't think of his name.
Did he pull some shit on you? He's like, I called him Hootie. That's why it's called Hootie.
No, he didn't. No.
He was always aground hooting like an owl, and I was like, "Quit it, Hootie!" And then there it was.
But yeah, it was an interesting conversation. He told us we could come back anytime. He gave me his number, and I tried to call him at one point. I think it was wrong number. I'm pretty sure I got wrong numbered. But
was it 8675309?
No.
Wow.
But now that I think about it, I wonder if I still had that number somewhere. If I were to do like a search on it, what it would come up with is like some teen, I don't know, therapy line or something. Who knows? I don't know. I don't even know where I was going with that now.
Some Get Help's the Charter River's old phone number.
Roads in South Carolina that were used, that were old, and now that they're still used. Whatever. So yeah, the Old State Highway is still kind of used. It's not the same as it was. And for the most part, at least in the Casey area, you can't traverse it anymore with a vehicle. Maybe with horse. You could probably do it with a horse and buggy if you're whatever.
All right, we're gonna try that Patreon goal.
Yeah, there you go. Lastly, I want to thank Brandon McDowell and Brian Mays, who of course is the director of the Jackson Teen Center in Camden, South Carolina, for being on with us last week. For which, if you haven't heard the episode yet, it's coming out. If you have heard it, then this is for you. But firstly, I just want to thank them for coming on and talking with us, because I think that it was not a subject I think that either one of them were super comfortable being the lead conversationalists on that. Brandon even said that he wants to come on again soon, because one of the things that he was just concerned about was just what he sounds like being played back. So But I thought it was a great conversation about politics and black men in the United States. Also, want to just give a quick shout out for grindout.org. That is the Grind Out in Sports and Education, which is part of the Jackson Teen Center. So you can check out grindout.org to see if there's anything you can do, volunteer, donations, that sort of thing. They operate off of some funding that's provided by the state as well as donations. So, just give consideration to checking that out. It's a great organization. That is going to lead us, though, into the first portion of this episode of Afterthoughts with Bill, the postponement. We did have a guest lined up for tonight, but because we are currently going through the remnants or what is going to wind up being pretty dramatic amounts of rain from Hurricane Debby or Tropical Storm Debby.
So more rain is to come, correct?
Yeah, we're supposed to get between like 4 and 5 inches between now and Thursday afternoon.
This one was supposed to come back into South Carolina.
Yeah,
So
I was on a very important phone call around 12:30. Right around 12, and the sun was shining, birds were chirping. Power goes out. Yesterday was a monsoon, but today, when I had a very important phone call, power goes out, and I am scrambling.
Wow.
Once it came back on, I'm like, connect to the internet. Do we have to re-get on this phone call? It's just the way the world. Welcome to South Carolina weather.
Yeah,
is it still raining there?
It's not raining at all right now.
No,
it's passing. It's a little breezy, according to my weather station. So we haven't gotten much rain today. It's mostly just been passing, like drizzle sometimes, and sometimes a little bit of a heavy rain. But it's been real quick. It moves in, moves out very quickly. Tonight and tomorrow is basically just going to be rain nonstop. So that's the expectation.
And where are you now, Bill?
Right now I'm in Barnwell. I've been back and forth. It's been a crazy week. I've been to 3 different places all over the place.
I'm
back in my room right now, but I'll be back in Columbia tomorrow or 2 days from now. It's gonna be crazy.
Yeah. So the conversation that we had with the Afterthoughts, if you haven't seen it yet or you haven't heard it yet, it'll be coming out. I think on the 15th, which is. This episode will come out after that. So you've already had the opportunity to go back and listen to it. It was an interesting conversation with Brian and Brandon, and we've gotten some feedback on from individuals that have already listened to it. And I think I tell you what, Bill, I'm going to let you go first because
no.
I'll just
Why?
This is difficult. Go first, Bill.
Yeah, it's not easy because some of the conversation, some of the criticism that I got was that there are things that Kamala Harris has been directly involved in, or bills that she has worked to get passed, whether she sponsored or co-sponsored them, that have had a direct impact on the black population as well as black men. And so there have been, Kamala Harris has actually put forth some effort along with Joe Biden during this past 4 years.
Can I say one thing real quick?
Impressive.
Yeah.
Somebody, if you have a problem, you can talk to me too. I would love to hear it. I didn't get any feedback. I came back and these two were like, "Did you get any feedback?" And I'm like, "No, we did." And I'm just like,
nobody's talking to Zach.
I asked questions.
Not one person.
I was literally there. So sad, but yeah, you can definitely talk to me. Please.
He's at Garnet King on quite literally all the social media.
Everything. Yeah. Even Xbox. Come play me. We'll play NCAA football, and while I beat you down, you can give me your exposition. So let's do this.
So that's a lot of where it came from, and it really seemed as though it didn't take, at least from my perspective, when I was engaged about some of the criticism, that it didn't take much for me to go and find information about some of the programs and bills and things that have been sponsored, quite literally to improve or level the playing field for black men in South Carolina. And it was things done by Democrats. One of the things that Brian mentioned was the fact that one of the congressmen from the I guess the upstate area, Lancaster, York County, that sort of area, is the gentleman, and I can't think of his name right off the top of my head. See, this is what dementia is like.
We'll call him Mr. Lancaster.
Well, so Ralph Norman. Sorry, there it is.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Yeah, Ralph Norman. He has done things to help out Brian Mays and the Jackson Teen Center and kids and things like that. And I won't take that away from Ralph Norman or any of the efforts that he's put forth, because even despite my opinion about it potentially being in some cases pandering, or because it's one of the things I have issues with is, sure, yes, there are individuals in the Republican Party that I believe don't say the racist stuff. They don't do the things that some of the Donald
There's
Trumps
good people.
or there are good people in the Republican Party, just like there are bad people in the Democratic Party.
100%.
There are. And but I guess where I draw the line isn't, they're doing something to help out at a local level, or they're, whatever. But I don't see Ralph Norman standing in front of a microphone telling his fellow Republicans, hey, it's time that we stop this. It's time that we treat everyone equally. We don't attack programs that have been in place for decades, like, food stamps, Medicaid. These are things that have a direct impact, not just on the Black population, but on a lot of the poor white population too. We shouldn't be attacking women's health, because that's only going to drive people further into poverty. So,
well, the GOP stands on the shoulders of a convicted felon who has set the tone for the party, whether someone agrees with it or not. He would probably get just backlash from it,
Yeah. But that's the thing. If you're gonna do things where you're trying to indicate that you're helping people, or that you're trying to push an agenda that benefits everyone, or even just specific groups, minority groups, go further. If you're going to help out a minority group, then don't let it stop there. Go, stand in front of a microphone and denounce the people in your party that are being really shitty. So,
and what sucks is in that kind of field, you get the label of a Republican and have to act within those boundaries instead of let your actions define what your label will be.
Right.
And because the labels that will be given are poison to anyone who hears it. In the GOP.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things that I continue to try and tout when it comes to Matt Villardo's campaign, is that there are individuals out there that have either done things to promote his opponent's campaign, or they have directly caucused for him. But I have to come back to, do you have to realize that as much as Matt's opponent says that he is not in favor of school vouchers and he wants to keep money in the public education program, or that he's this moderate Republican, it doesn't matter. If he gets elected into office, he's not going to be the one Republican standing up there saying, no, we need to make sure to keep money in public education. No, we need to make sure that we need to reverse the abortion ban. We need to bring ourselves back. He won't. Because if he wants to get reelected, which he pretty much has to start campaigning for as soon as he takes office, he's going to do everything that the state party tells him to do, because he has no power. He has no ability to stand in front of them and say, no, we shouldn't do this. His vote no essentially removes likelihood of him having his campaign funded by Ralph Norman or any of the other Republicans that could potentially have money coming to him from some sort of super PAC out of state or whatever. So vote Democrat. And I just look, just vote Democrat. Just do it, because at least in South Carolina, the Democrats have the ability. They're not confined to some state party priorities. They get to actually go out there and campaign. And if there was a good Republican, I would tell you, I would flat out say, this is someone who I think should remain in office because they're fighting the good fight. But Katrina Shealy already lost her seat, and the good Republicans got beaten up by this Freedom Caucus bullshit. And ultimately, that's where we stand now. So the only line of defense that we have is Democrats. So just vote Democrat.
Yeah, and don't let the mob mentality get to you. Like I was raised by a Republican.
Let me
family.
get to you. Let me get to you.
Don't even let Barrett get to you. Yeah, but like, think about what your values are as a person. I remember the first president I got to vote for, and it was Barack Obama, and my parents were like, "What? Why?" And I was like, I literally thought about everything that I stood for, and that was the guy that brought that to the table as well.
Yeah,
it wasn't the lines. Like, you're here, you vote on the party lines. I think that's the most insane thing ever. Just question your worldview. Think about how you feel, and if you truly feel that your morals line with the Republican Party, I don't know. I don't want to meet you if they do, but that is. I'm kidding. I do want to meet you and ask why. But like, if that's where it is, then that's where it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Bill, tell us about some of the criticism you received. And I'm just going to give you a little. I don't know what button I just hit because I can't hear it. It was the horn, wasn't it?
It was the horn.
I want the John Cena intro for Bill.
Hear what you hear on the soundboard?
No, because I'm using my AirPods, so I can't. I can't hear what's on the soundboard. So,
we're all AirPodding today. Yeah. How unique.
So, some of the criticism I was getting was specifically from women who essentially wanted someone to say that it's not necessarily just black men that benefit from someone like Kamala Harris being in office. It is rather the entire black and African American community that benefits when bills like the American Rescue Plan, the Inflation Reduction Act, bills passed to help LGBT people all around the United States. There's 1.2 million black LGBT. This is a 2021 study. This is from the Williams Institute. 1.2 million black LGBT adults live in the United States. So I would also assume that study was done for people just above the age of 18. Bills that passed to help reproductive health, to assist in not just women, but black women in communities that need help, essentially, with the mortality rate of pregnancy. I mean, it's insane, the numbers compared to white women that black women face in pregnancies that need abortions for help. And so, essentially, some of the criticism I got was it's not just bills that help black men, but it's bills that are signed by Kamala Harris, not Kamala Harris, but Joe Biden, to essentially help these communities. And Kamala Harris played a big hand in helping black communities. And as vice president, she broke records, breaking ties in the Senate that helped get those bills to Joe Biden's desk. Again, Kamala Harris, I would fully agree that she hasn't had any formal interviews, and so to get those ideas out, like she's got to do those interviews, but she has also had to flip the entirety of the Democratic Party in America in 2 weeks to back her as the candidate, right? So
Kamala's nailing it,
and she's doing great. Tim Walz was just selected as her VP candidate, and so far he's done well among Democrats. Democrats are backing him. People are trying to, of course, dig up stuff on both of them, and they'll find stuff. Don't get me wrong, but
I mean, they wouldn't be human beings if it weren't for the fact that they probably have some things that have occurred in their past. But it's all about how you learn from those things.
And so, for the most part, again, like as a journalist, you can say vote Democrat. I cannot say. I can't. I wish, that would be more commentary. But,
legalize marijuana.
Yeah. I want to say do that really bad. So, yeah, support good ideas. But for these indisputable facts that exist, that there are bills, and of course we didn't have them on hand at the time or anything like that. But we
were just having a conversation.
Right, we were having a conversation, and there are things that's what I heard back as far as the criticism goes. And yeah, that was simply it. That there are things that she has done, and you can find those things easily.
Yeah.
So
and we're going to have.
Sorry, go ahead, Barrett.
I was just going to say we're going to have Brandon and Brian come back on, and I think we're actually going to probably increase the size of the panel to a few more of some individuals that have been on the podcast before. So it's definitely a conversation that we want to have, and I think that will allow us to do on the fly research while the conversation is going on.
And also the fact that I mean, well, I guess I was going to say I don't know if I can say we were talking about future guests. One of whom would be an African American woman. Would be an interest.
We're going to have Belinda Timmons on, who is an outstanding candidate. She'll be coming on early September. We were supposed to record with her tonight, but unfortunately, because of the weather and the all of the rain and such, Belinda's not going to be able to be on with us. But she will be on with us in September, and it's going to be another outstanding conversation because I've read a lot of the things that she's said. I've seen her campaign. I've seen videos of her, and she's got a phenomenal team that's working to get her elected. So my hope is that absolutely happens. But yeah, we'll have Belinda Timmons on, and you know, I'm hoping that you know, the panel that I want to have is probably got 8 or 9 people on it. So it's bigger.
Zoom raise hands and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. We'll have to mute and unmute as we go through. But yeah. Anyway,
also the fact they'll be so much closer to the election too. I mean, then at that point, I wonder who on that panel would maybe have changed their minds, Brandon or Brian. I mean,
potentially
if they or not. It'd be interesting. I'm very interested to see a round 2 of our conversations.
Zach, you were going to say something.
Oh, I was just saying, one of the things that BB brought up because he made a point that he had Republicans helping him. I think Republicans need to, nut up and not have like head of House Slytherin, Matt Gaetz, be the face of their party.
Yeah.
Because that's not who all of them are. And I do agree that the people who are doing good things need to be more vocal about it. I just wanted to put that out there because that was a big thing I picked up from the interview as well. He's like, dude,
Republicans and Democrats.
Yeah. Exactly. Both sides.
That's one of those things that I will keep saying is that you want to continue to you want to be the Republican that represents the entirety of the population that lives in your district. You got to step up and stop the bullshit of some of your colleagues on the same side of the aisle as you with some of the nonsense that they say. That's ultimately my biggest thing is hypocrisy. You'll sit there and you'll eat dinner with people in your community, and then you'll go up to Washington, you'll go to the State House, and immediately you completely flip. You go into these conference rooms and it's, I was sitting down with these bobunks, and I don't even know what a bobunk is. That's not a word. But I don't
Podunk, was that the word you were looking for?
Maybe. I had to be with poor people, and it was unpleasant. That's the thing is you just don't be hypocritical.
That's what's been on my mind a lot lately is like I was thinking most of the people that I interact with on a day-to-day basis, I don't know their politics, but being where we're from, I know what it probably could be based on their kind of convictions and things. And I love them. And their choice of politics isn't going to dissuade me from loving that person, but I'm not going to talk politics with you because that's the one place where for some reason there's a grand divide that shouldn't be.
Yeah. I don't disagree. Okay. So that was the constructive criticism that we got on that. And like I said, if you haven't,
let me know. I would love to hear.
please someone reach out to Zach. The All About the show at theallaboutnothing.com.
Like, nobody all right.
I know it was a good episode.
Oh, it was.
I thought it was still real good. I'd love to hear those opinions, but I mean, just that's what I got.
So last night, we had the Kamala Harris campaign announced that Tim Walz, it's Walz, W-A-L-Z, not W-A-L-T-Z, not Waltz, that Tim Walz is her pick for the VP nominee. And we will have the Democratic convention coming up the week of our Soda City Comic Con. So they will formally announce that Kamala and Tim Walz are the vice president picks for the Democratic Party. So any criticism on Tim Walz, Zach, at all?
Not so far. He's Ron Swanson light for me. I love it, especially when he said he was talking to his daughter about we're going to go get some food and eat some burgers or something, and she goes, "I don't eat meat." And he goes, "Well, turkey's different in Minnesota."
That was good.
Yeah,
that was good.
I mean, everything he says, and he delivers intelligent zingers, which I think, this is what the Democratic Party needed, was somebody to come out there and be like, "I'll throw a jab. I'll even throw a hook every once in a while."
No, he's definitely quick.
We needed that, and this is the fun dad is what we keep hearing. I don't know if you've heard that put on him. He's the fun dad,
cat dad, stuff like that too.
Exactly, like he's definitely a cat dad. I think that this is exactly the punch in the arm that the Democratic Party needed to have somebody as a representative for the party. I think that his ideas are great. Feeding children. Only the GOP as it stands right now could try to villainize that as a socialist awful movement. Tim has held every bit of composure. He's given us, you guys are weird, because guess what? You guys are weird. You do weird things. Yeah. I mean, have you seen JD Vance sit on that couch and he's sitting like spread eagle like this? People are like, "Why you sit like that?" There's no one more weird out of the two VP candidates we have.
Oh yeah,
JD Vance is a weird dude. That's a weird guy.
Well, also, it was really one of the best cards played by the Democratic Party. I mean, you gotta keep in mind too, the RNC went on so long. They bashed Joe Biden. They did not really bash Kamala Harris because they had no reason to. Then Trump announces his VP pick specifically to target Kamala Harris as her running for vice president.
Yeah.
Then after the RNC, Joe Biden steps aside. Kamala Harris will now be debating Donald Trump. And then they found a dude that in almost every corner would absolutely destroy JD Vance in any debate, anytime, anywhere. I mean,
Kamala Harris would destroy Trump. Yeah.
On top for sure. I mean, the Trump administration wasn't ready for this in any way, shape, or form. Nobody really was.
And he's flailing.
I'm still not entirely certain that the Trump campaign really has much of an actual plan outside of, and I'm not saying this to be critical, but it really feels like they take all of their marching orders from what Donald Trump posts on Truth Social. Like I see, Fox News will start touting something about Kamala Harris or JD or some sort of it seems like a lot of what's going on is purely reactive to what Trump is tweeting, truthing, whatever. Because ultimately he's doing an extremely lazy, his campaign right now is extremely lazy. He's JD Vance is out there. Like, you see him in places. He was in some parking lot earlier today that I don't think very many people turned out for. Meanwhile, Kamala's hosting a rally somewhere that had a bunch of people. Can I
give you this too? What he put on Truth Social recently, which is just insane. This is quote: "What are the chances that crooked Joe Biden, the worst president in history of the U.S., whose presidency was unconstitutionally stolen from him by Kamala, Barack Hussein Obama, crazy Nancy Pelosi, shifty Adam Schiff, crying Chuck Schumer, and others on the lunatic left, crashes the Democratic National Convention and tries to take back the nomination, beginning with challenging me to another debate it's in cap. So many things are capitalized that just don't make sense. He feels
Bait.
He feels that
I can say that, the mustache, the Bears. Bait.
Bears. He feels that he made a historically tragic mistake by handing over the U.S. presidency, a coup. Coup is capitalized, to the point, to the people in the world that he hates the most. And now he wants it back. Now. With a bunch of, just what an insane, what even is that?
I tell you, one thing that I gotta give Trump credit for is that the names he comes up with to bully people are pretty good. That's so weird. I get weird. I mean, it's just I just can't.
They can't match. They can't rhyme anything with Kamala.
He's just like laughing Kamala. I think is what he came up with.
Laughing Kamala, crazy Kamala.
Am I saying it wrong? Is it Kamala or Kamala?
Kamala Harris.
Kamala.
That was Kamala Harris.
Kamala.
What am I saying?
Kamala.
You're saying Kamala. That's what Trump says.
He says Kamala.
It's Kamala.
Yeah, it's Kamala Harris.
Kamala
Harris.
I feel like I say
this
it right.
Is purely out of ignorance, not
90% of no,
being a bad Democrat, Barrett.
And that's perfectly fine. At least,
I'm just messing with you.
But at least I can admit when I'm not being, he
put a B in her name.
Yeah, well, yeah. But do we chalk that up to he was being intentionally hurtful, or do we chalk it up to he's suffering from brain injuries that were sustained as a child?
I'm sure that he has a special a Trump autocorrect that pops in.
Yeah, that's his artificial, and he's got artificial D intelligence.
Like, Clippy still pops up. He's like, I like Clippy. I want Clippy to tell me. And did you mean Kamala? And then he's like, yes, I did.
We need Bill Microsoft to come back and bring us Clippy.
Bill Microsoft.
Clippy is now my VP. JD Vance is out. Clippy's never fucked a couch.
Well, I'm gonna admit I think Tim Walz is outstanding. In fact, here's the thing, and I want to see if you guys recognize it or if you guys see it, because first of all, when
that's not a flattering frame, but
yeah, I'm sorry. All right, I'm just gonna play it. I'm not gonna play the audio. Oh, it's way over here. I'm not gonna play the audio. But I just want you to watch. Tim Walz has smiling frowny face.
I thought if you put glasses on him, he kind of looks like Janie.
Okay, so that kind of brings me into the next part of the conversation. So Tim Walz, obviously Saturday Night Live when it comes back, Tim Walz and Kamala Harris are going to. Did I say it right that time?
Kamala Harris, yeah.
Kamala. Okay.
No, you had it right. Kamala Harris.
Kamala. So when Saturday Night Live comes back, we're gonna have Maya Rudolph. Stop it. We're gonna have Maya Rudolph come in as Kamala Harris. We're gonna have somebody come in to play Tim Walz. Who do you think would potentially be the best Tim Walz impression?
Richard Dreyfuss, if he wasn't so old.
That's a good one. I'll tell you who I'm thinking. Steve Martin. I think Steve Martin is going to make an outstanding Tim Walz. But if he were still alive, mostly because Tim Walz just seems to have that when he smiles, it's almost like his cheeks don't pull the sides up high enough. Dude, I think that Robin Williams would have done an outstanding Tim Walz impression.
Oh, dude.
Yes, but it's going to be ooh, maybe if he gets off the couch.
that would actually have been really nice.
I like him. I like Tim Walz. I think that he has been fortunately as a governor very progressive.
The mind bending part of it, though, if you could pull that picture back up for anyone watching.
Sure. Yeah. The mind bending thing. This is what I do. My
if you exit out of it, it's fine.
There we go.
They're the same age.
Oh yeah, he's what, 6 months different?
6 months difference. Yeah,
Kamala Harris is
they're both
59
60 years old. Oh, that's right.
Walz
He's
60.
Yeah, 6 months difference. Like, yo, but he has the fun dad vibes. Like,
well,
I was also
yeah.
shocked to know.
See,
to
look
see
at him.
that
Look at him smiling.
Harris
Look at him.
was-
Do you see him smiling with his mouth is closed? They just
that's a happy grandpa
Yeah.
smile.
Well, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No,
It's a
you
good
can
one.
tell he's happy. He's smiling, but it's a
It is-
frowny smile.
Harris really. I would have thought she was in her 40s unless somebody, or 50s, early 50s. If somebody
Black
had told
don't
me. I
crack.
had no idea.
Yeah, no. Jinx.
Wow.
You owe me a soda.
I feel like I actually said it before you did. Of course, the delay between us could have potentially.
Yeah, well,
been
we'll
the,
never know.
the
You owe
issue.
me a soda.
We may have said it literally at the same time. That would have been impressive. No, I like Tim Walz.
It's
at
the
the
first
same
time I've
time-
been pumped in a long time about Democratic nominees. I'm just like,
There-
I feel
yes.
I really feel like they kind of broke the lesser of two evils thing. They saw that people did have some issues with Joe Biden. Everyone had some complaints. A lot of Democrats did. And then you get her and Tim Walz, like two of the most progressive Democrats we will have seen in a very long time.
But Tim
I
Walz
think
is also
Democrats-
has his
Yeah.
conservative streaks in him. He has guns and things like that. Like
Mhm.
he definitely can
he's
appeal
like-
to the right.
He's like the
Yeah.
rest of us. I mean,
He is. Yes.
he hunts. He's got kids. He's got Gen X kids, Gen X, Gen Z. He's got Gen Z kids.
Yeah.
Grandkids.
yeah,
Or I'm sorry, am I wrong?
No, kids. I think his daughter.
Oh,
I think
kids.
his daughter. I think his
Yeah, he
daughter's
kept talking
Gen
about
Z.
his daughter Hope,
Gen
and I
X.
think
Gen Z.
she's Z.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But you know,
Okay.
to me, he strikes me as like I say he's like the rest of us. He served in the military. He was a
Coach
school
championship
teacher.
football.
Coached football. Yeah, championship football. Nonetheless. So you know, I feel like he is he represents everybody.
That's it. We're
And
having Tim Walz on the podcast.
That's it. I'll you know what? I'll call him
Let's
back
do
and
it.
say it's confirmed. Zach said yes.
I sort of got.
But-
He would be the dude to be like, "You got 15 minutes on
Yeah,
a plane."
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Oh yeah.
But I think and you know, the Harris campaign is continuing to raise money hand over fist.
Mhm.
And I think that the convention was well placed, if not coincidentally, well placed with everything that has happened that is benefiting Harris's campaign right now, because it's just, you know, you basically have Trump imploding because they had no plan to have to campaign against Harris. That it was all Joe Biden. Like I saw Jordan Klepper last night. They aired a segment where he was at a campaign, and he was talking to somebody. He said he asked the guy how much money he had spent in fuck Brandon and fuck Joe Biden merchandise over the course of the last 4 years, and he's like,
a lot of tears wiping off stickers right now. Yeah.
in the thousands. I've spent thousands on shirts and flags and shoes, and I'm just like, you don't see that nonsense on the Democratic side. It doesn't seem to exist that I know of.
Yeah. It's the cult thing.
I have some.
And
Very, very
It's a
few.
bumper sticker on a Prius.
Next to the coexist sticker.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. No, it's not nearly at the same degree, but there's some.
It's not
there's
as
a little bit.
vengeful.
You're not
Even-
riding out on the
Yeah.
lake with your Biden Harris flags blasting
Yeah,
in the wind.
no.
Like
Well, not Lake Murray.
No,
not any,
no.
not any.
That'll get you shot. Those fuckers out there on Lake Murray. I you know, it's like Charleston Harbor.
That's why I drive an ironclad from the Civil War out there.
Just for a small Harris Walz sticker.
We're going down.
It just says KH plus.
They don't
T-
have cannonballs.
plus
They're shooting
TW.
Bud Lights because they don't drink them. Yeah.
Wait,
We're-
is that so? With Tim Walz, we get to bring this back. Like winning
Ooh,
Walz.
maybe.
you shouldn't.
Thank you, Zach. I just got myself canceled again. That's happening more often.
Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with. But
Yeah.
the one thing I think, that I really want to catch on with Tim Walz is he is the VP that Kamala needed because he's a mouthpiece, right? He
Yeah.
is.
The bullhorn.
Kamala Harris did not she's not out there like that, right? Even as much as Joe Biden was as a VP. You need Tim Walz, and if we can call him Coach, if during press correspondence stuff, just call him Coach. Coach Walz, Coach. He has the moniker for it. I think America needs Coach Walz. We need the coach.
Yeah. So and even just watching the speech yesterday where he came out with the campaign, it didn't necessarily, and I might be a little biased, so Bill, correct me, but I didn't.
Not you.
I didn't feel like. So okay. So for example, when JD Vance goes out and campaigns for Donald Trump, most of what it seems like he's professing is his undying love for Donald Trump and how everyone should love Donald Trump because of what he did, 7 years ago.
He doesn't stand on his own in any fact.
No, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that the Trump campaign completely gave up on any sort of vetting of any of the candidates that were up for VP when they were like, oh, here's JD Vance. Well, we can't pick Tim Scott because Trump hates black people.
Yeah.
And I say that with
and
the
he
knowledge
would have been
of,
a way better pick. Like, Democrats would have had a much harder time if Trump had picked Tim Scott, I believe.
Other people that Trump could have selected. I mean, even if it was the crazy lady from South Dakota that shot her dog and a goat in front of people. And
Nikki Haley would have been the obvious choice if things had been normal in their party. Like Nikki Haley, that would have been a crazy matchup.
Yeah,
there would have been so much division in the White House over that. You want to talk about like Veep being wild? That would have been wild.
But for the most part, Donald Trump, and he's even said this, and you're 100% right, Barrett. He has even said that they're not voting for JD Vance; they're voting for him. When asked if JD Vance it would be ready on day one as president if something happened to Trump.
I've never seen a vice president change the outcome of an election. I think that's what I may not have said that exactly right, but that's essentially what he was saying.
Mike Pence would have wrecked you, bud. Yeah.
Yeah. And Mike Pence was an amazing choice for Donald Trump at the time. I mean, and
he did what he needed to do.
He did what he needed to do with Pence. I don't see that with JD Vance yet. They have 90 more days and counting to prove that, but I don't know.
Now he's fishing off a dock in Indiana on a lake somewhere, looking out for gay frogs. That Alex Jones was talking about.
Mountain Dew bottles that are racist.
Mother chained to the dock post.
For the life of me, I don't understand why he would throw himself under the bus on the Mountain Dew thing. Because
I don't know.
No one in because basically he said, what did he say? I had 2 Mountain Dews yesterday or something like that, and he goes,
Diet
Mountain
Dews.
Diet Mountain Dews.
You're not Mormon, it's fine.
Yeah, they're probably the Democrats are going to probably call me a racist for that. And it's like, for Mountain Dew or Diet Mountain Dew, like what? First of all, where does that even come from? Like, at what's going on in your head that you think it might be racist?
Yeah, I want to know. Yeah, we have.
I feel like Democrats would have already said something about Diet Mountain Dew being racist if it was. I mean, they probably would.
If he was drinking Baja Mountain Dew, maybe
Baja Blast,
maybe, or
watch your mouth, Barrett.
Great confetti. What I don't know what the Mountain Dew flavors are.
Baja Blast is nectar from the gods that I don't even believe in.
I'm not speaking poorly. I'm not speaking poorly. By the way, drink Mountain Dew.
Hey, Baja Blast. This is how it would be racist. Baja Blast. It comes from Baja, Mexico. That's
Baja,
it. They're coming over the border to take over your soft drinks.
That's it. But for him to basically try and preemptively make fun of the fact that Democrats would call him racist for drinking Diet Mountain Dew, it's not something on anybody's radar. It never would have occurred to me.
He's a spread of mayonnaise. He had nothing to say.
Yeah,
that's all he is.
And then he awkwardly told the 7 or 8 people in the audience that he loved them, which felt awkward because there was only one guy clapping in the
laser beams in the back of his head that he felt.
Yeah, but there was only one guy clapping in the audience. It was just kind of a weird
by himself in the middle of the day. Like,
I went to college with that guy.
That's Dale. Dale.
He used to boof like nothing you've ever seen.
Remember Ski and Boofing? That was great.
So I think the consensus, at least from the two guys that are, will tell you that we're going to vote for Kamala and Tim Walz.
Let me ask y'all this. Let's say, how does this work? You have a Harris Walz victory. How do we fix the Supreme Court?
Pack it.
Pack it.
So you add more seats.
Pack it and or establish an ethics committee or both.
So the problem.
So term limits don't come into effect at any point.
Oh yeah, no. I think ultimately I don't think anything should just be open ended. I don't think. I think the Supreme Court should have term limits. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So
and didn't Biden just call for a constitutional amendment for that? It wouldn't.
It's going to be so hard to do. I mean,
it would never pass in a million years, but
I think the only thing that he can do at this point to bring any sort of reformation to the Supreme Court is go ahead and load it up with four more Supreme Court justices right now. Like this week, announce that you've got 4 Supreme Court justice nominees and go ahead and speed them through, get Schumer to speed them through the Senate, because we have that opportunity. We're in control. The Democrats are in control. Just go ahead and do it. And I believe what you'll see is Clarence Thomas will find that he is completely ineffective and having no power. He doesn't get any of the presents that he gets all the time. So ultimately he will say, I can make more money, or I can retire not on the Supreme Court just by going to work for a think tank, or
live in Eagle's Nest in Germany. Yeah, no,
Nike sponsorships, whatever, because he's going to get fit. Anyway, sorry. But he
Dwayne
resigns.
The Rock Thomas over here.
Yeah, he retires and then goes and lives the rest of his life, because there's no point in him being on the Supreme Court if he doesn't have the control of the conservatives on the Supreme Court. Alito will also retire because he's older, and he's been there since Bush. I mean, he's been in there for 20 something years.
Oh yeah, he's been in there for a while.
First Bush.
So he leaves,
and then you have to. Then you're left with what the
Handmaid's
Tale of duos.
Well, you've got so the way I look at it is that you bring in 4 new justices, so you go from 9 or 4. Yeah, you go from 9. You're putting yourself 1 over the number of conservative judges that there are now. And as the judges resign and retire, you just don't replace them. You let the court work itself back down to 9. But what you did was you took advantage of the power you have as the president, and you go ahead and fill those seats so that you can at least equalize because John Roberts is voting along with the conservatives, not because he necessarily, I don't think he agreed with the abortion.
He's towing the line.
Yeah, but he's doing it because.
Can you explain this, Barrett? Explain the power that the president has, because I don't even know.
Sure.
Like,
so
what is the power the president has to
Article? I think it's Article 2.
Article 2.
Yeah, Article 2 gives the president the power to nominate Supreme Court justices as necessary. And it's not, there's no ruling, there's nothing in the Constitution that says it has to be only 9 judges, because there have been times where there were 2 judges. There have been times where there were, 4 judges. I
didn't know that.
Yeah. So it's a lot of it is a respect for the tradition of the Supreme Court. We've been at 9 justices for so long. But we have a Supreme Court justice that is working completely. We have justices that are working completely outside of normal. And in my opinion, I think it's stacking the court with 4 more justices left leaning, or even just moderately left leaning. They don't have to be, but establish a set of ethics for the Supreme Court, because I think in this case, if you can't get it done constitutionally, then you could at least get 7 left-leaning Supreme Court justices to be able to vote on or create or get rid of John Roberts. And then John Roberts ultimately all of this shit falls on John Roberts. He is the Chief Justice, and if he can't control the justices and their ethics, he shouldn't be in there. Ultimately, that's my opinion.
Agreed.
Yeah, I mean, also as weird to me that just hasn't happened yet. I mean, after what, like, we're already gonna see if something doesn't happen, we're gonna see LGBT marriage or gay marriage be handed back to the states and banned in the South.
Marriage.
We're going to see interracial marriage. I mean, these are things that are going to happen if the Supreme Court continues to move in this direction. Freedom of speech is probably going to be limited even further. I mean, people don't realize that there's already a limit on speech, libel, slander. I mean, go back and look at the Alien Sedition Acts in 1796-8. I mean, those things already do stuff, and the Supreme Court can take it farther. I mean, and if you're a Republican that cares about freedom of speech, do some research. I don't know what to tell you.
I would be concerned because the only freedom of speech you're going to have is basically kissing up to Donald Trump if he gets elected. And ultimately, I've joked, but is there the potential that something like this podcast could get us blacklisted? And I mean, it's entirely possible.
That'd be an honor to be blacklisted, by the way.
I don't want to serve time in some American version of a Siberian gulag, or I may be.
Well, Trump has said he wants to kick out Marxist socialists and all this, but you create labels for that.
Yeah,
you're limiting free speech. If that's really what you're wanting to do, you have just said that you are against the First Amendment.
But they give him, but the MAGA maggots on that side, I'm sorry, that's slur.
That was like a tick.
It was like it really was.
I'm trying.
I was just like, well,
in my head, I'm trying not to, because I don't want to alienate anyone that
well, Slipknot fans are also called the maggots, so
that's true. All right, so non-Slipknot fans, because I have to believe that they want weed as much as we do. But
for the literature, they do.
I don't remember where I was going with it. I got completely derailed by the maggot thing.
The other thing too is now there's a precedent for what is it? Broad immunity.
Yeah. So and that
don't start bitching when broad immunity is swung heavily on a party you didn't vote for.
Here's Donald Trump is going to be as bad for Republicans in a Project 2025 world, voters that vote for him, as it's going to be for everyone else. It's not, they want to dismantle, they want to do away with the EPA. Well, guess what? You live in West Virginia, you are completely dependent on the EPA to keep some of these corporations and companies in check that are mining for coal, because if without the EPA, all of their waste material is just going into your creeks, the creeks that then flow into your rivers that you're fishing from. Like that is in place. He wants to just.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say he wants to dismantle the Department of Education, because education, in their opinion, works better when it's privatized and unregulated.
Yeah, have
by
your
states.
That's your handmaid tale. Yeah, put in whatever the theology of the ruling party is.
And I'll be honest. I don't care if you want your kids to be taught the Bible. I don't care about that at all. I don't actually even care
even in a public school.
Yeah, I don't care. Yeah, I don't even care if they teach it in the public school. But we
got a class for that.
Yeah. There's theology.
Yeah,
but
do it.
But I will just say this: they're never going to teach the Bible in any public school, especially in South Carolina, because the education system here that is at the top with Ellen Weaver is completely defunct of any intelligence. I don't think they have
that. She's trying to make it very much so.
Yeah,
strictly biblical.
But the logistics are not in place to be able to deliver the Bible studies to what, almost 1 million students across the state. It's just not there. It's not going to happen. It's basically just talking.
It is talking, but it's not, right? So we live in the South. That is the going on. That is the belief in the South is Christian. Whether you can't agree on stuff, so you have your Lutherans, your Episcopalians, all this, your Baptists. Most of them do believe in. I remember science teachers being like, "Well, there's also this opinion," and talking about it for a minute, and I was like, "Okay." Like, you're not jiving with what you just taught me, but okay, I hear you. You'll have teachers that are okay with it because it is what they believe. But then it takes that person who understands that I can't say for sure. You're not going to have it. I think it would be so easy for them to be convinced that we're allowed to teach this biblical Abrahamic religion as how we got here. No, the world is. If a science teacher understands anything about like carbon dating, they'll be like, I can't rightfully do that, right? Like the world's older than 6,000 years. But I think it would be a lot easier than you think. You know what I mean?
Well,
that's terrifying. Louisiana is a perfect example of that.
But even Louisiana, they're not going to be able to deliver the logistics just aren't there to be able to teach it because, for one, textbooks cost. I mean,
you don't need a textbook. You need the one that's in your motel drawer. That's all they have to teach you how to.
Yeah, but kids are going to rip those apart. Look what we did to our textbooks when we were kids.
Also, I drew Dixon a lot of textbooks. Yeah.
Also, we're talking about a theology class. It would be set up in a way. Number one, I imagine this would probably be a high school level class. I would just, if we're talking about this, I would imagine
middle school to high school.
It wouldn't go in this direction, but for whatever vision, if you're talking about the Bible in a classroom, you should also, actually, you do have to now then talk about the Quran, Buddhism, Scientology. I mean, just
they won't
theology in general, but they won't do it.
They don't want that comparison, right? Because that leads you to equate this thing I don't believe in is equal to this thing that I believe in.
Right.
And they don't.
But if you are doing separation of church and state, and there's going to be stuff that holds through, that's the way it would have to be done. So, the 10 Commandments, put them on the wall, but people are also going to be free to put up. We've talked about this before. The satanic stuff. I mean, that's going to happen with religion in schools. If you want to teach it, go ahead. I don't care. But if that's going to be the way it is, everything else is going to equate it.
It's all or nothing, but they want one. Yeah.
I'm just going to put this out there. I suspect that this is yet another attempt by the GOP to create some sort of a distraction away from how bad Trump is or how bad Vance is, because a lot of this seems to be going on in, it went on here in South Carolina, but it didn't require the legislature to do anything because it basically fell off, and then or however it worked its way into the fact that ultimately Ellen Weaver gets to make the final decision.
But Barrett, they've been trying this shit since, at least as far as I can remember, at least since Bush Jr. Arkansas tried it for sure.
I just have this feeling that if the Democrats were just going to go, you know what, we're going to let y'all figure this one out. Yep, go ahead and do what you think it is that y'all are going to do, and we're going to lose teacher after teacher after teacher because they're not because. Unless they won't be able to come to a consensus on how to teach Bible studies, Christian Bible studies in public schools because
they can't agree on Sundays.
They can't agree on whether to have 2 acoustic guitars or 3 electric guitars in their stupid programs. Like that's what divides churches nowadays is somebody doesn't like Frank, so they go and make a new Baptist church, and there you have it, the Baptist Church of Frank versus the Baptist Church of Floyd. Like
it's your micro politics within your theology, whatever.
So I just don't see them being able to come to a consensus, and that's why I think this is a straw man. I think ultimately they're just trying to numb us on something else so that the next big thing that actually matters to them will be like, well, it's not as stupid as we were trying to do Christianity. I'm telling
you right now, I will hammer their ass to the ground. That is the hill I die on because I believe what you want to believe, but you have no right to tell anyone else what to believe.
Agreed.
No one. Yeah. I don't want to hear it just as much as you don't
want
to hear
about the Quran. Or what they can take in high school. I mean, same thing. I mean, they banned African American history classes. They're trying to ban CRT. They're trying to fight LGBT stuff. They're fighting sex ed. I mean, they're not wanting to talk about. They're saying we're pro-life, we're pro this, but we're not going to talk about contraception. We're not going to talk about gynecology for women. We're not going to talk about anything involving sexuality in schools because we don't want people to know about it or make parents feel uncomfortable. And then they're also at the same. I mean, they're banning all these things. What do you think is going to happen? And the same thing would happen with religion. I mean,
well, they'll come back at the back end and tell you that those same people that they wouldn't let have sex ed come to, that the people who would want to teach you sex ed will also kill a post-birth child weeks out.
Yeah. With just straight lie. Just a lie about it.
A full-blown lie. That's called murder. That's an alive being. That's called murder. No, there's no law out there. But people believe it. People full-on believe it.
It's insane to me.
Yep.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Well, we have a few more minutes, and I wanted to bring this up, but this is hyper local to me. But we have discussed that I live in District 88 in South Carolina, and we are represented by. I have to say he's at least conscious, just out of respect for the fact that he walks and talks. I'm just going to read you the article a little bit here from Fitz News, and I want to talk about another aspect of this. But so Will Folks over at Fitz News reported on the 6th of August, federal agents conducting an ongoing investigation involving a sitting member of the South Carolina General Assembly are probing allegations related to child exploitation, specifically allegations tied to child sex abuse materials, or CSAM, more commonly known as child pornography. These allegations, confirmed by multiple sources familiar with the status of the investigation, served as the basis for a search warrant executed yesterday, that's August the 5th, at the home of second-term South Carolina State Representative R.J. May of West Columbia. So it says our media outlet exclusively reported agents of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, DHS, Special Investigations Unit, HSI, with the support of South Carolina State Law Enforcement Division, SLED, executed a search warrant on May's home earlier Monday morning, August 5th, 2024. Unspecified files and electronic devices were reported seized in connection with the raid. Sources familiar with the execution confirmed at least one witness is reportedly cooperating with the investigation. And while the probable cause affidavit, which led to the issuance of the search warrant, has yet to be released, sources familiar with the document say there was more than enough information provided to lawfully obtain it. HSI, which is the lead agency of the investigation, bills itself as a global leader in fighting against child exploitation. That also includes sex traffic workers, that sort of thing. That's, HSI was who was raiding with the FBI Sean Diddy Combs' house out in Los Angeles and in Miami. While our sources address the nature of this investigation, which was apparently ensnared May, they have not specified whether the federal probe is focused on the alleged production or dissemination of child pornography or its possession. Obviously, state and federal law cover a host of varying degrees of child exploitation. I'm not going to read the rest of the article. This is serious for R.J. May, District 88, South Carolina, who has taken it upon himself to, assistance with the Freedom Caucus, has taken it upon himself to be a revolutionary type individual in fight for child safety, prevent children from this sort of exploitation. And yet now we find out once again that someone that was in complete denial of or not denial, but at least was so actively against child exploitation, especially when it came to the reading of library books, where he assisted the Moms for Liberty to sue Lexington School District 1 because they would not terminate a few employees that would not remove some of their perceived banned books. But R.J. May is at least under investigation, has had a search warrant where materials were removed from the home, including hard drives. That was what was confirmed. I'm not necessarily disturbed or in shock of this, and I'll tell you why. Go ahead,
Bad dealings.
So I'll just so I don't think, and Zach can correct me if I've ever told this story in its
You've told me. I don't think you've spoke
You've
on
told
it.
me to, but never. I don't think you've ever said it on air at all.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, at all.
RJ May is my representative, and I've said that multiple times because I wish that there was someone that would run against him, not necessarily to beat him, but just start spending some of his money. So RJ May, when he was caucusing back in 2020, came to my house, and I stepped outside to talk to him, and we disagreed vehemently on Donald Trump. We did not agree on that. We didn't agree. I didn't agree with him on some of the things that he said about abortion bans and child protection, things like that. While I agree that child protection is extremely important, I disagree with how his approach to it. But mostly the whole conversation wasn't necessarily around issues. It was mostly around how he supported Donald Trump without any recognition of the things that I asked him about why he supports Donald Trump. You know, do you support the fact that he's that he's been accused of sexual assault or rape by 26 individual victims over the course of the last 30 years? Well, I asked him things like that, but I when I have an opportunity to talk to a candidate that obviously does not match me, I at least try to ask some questions about where it is that they're coming from when it comes to their stance on things. So I asked him about marijuana, didn't want to talk about it. I asked him about women's reproductive rights, didn't want to talk about it. I asked him about criminal reform, didn't want to talk about it. So obviously the conversation was he didn't earn my vote. But just before he was, at that time it was mostly civil, and I asked, as he was on the verge of departing, I said, I see your wife and your daughter in the truck. I said, do y'all want some cold water? That's the point at where he became a little bit more defensive and unhinged, because I said, all I did was offer it, and his response back to me was, and I want to say this is accurate. It's been 4 years, but his response back was, "MFer, you think I don't know how to take care of my own?" And I told him at that point he could get off my lawn. But that was the interaction. That was the one and only interaction I've ever had with him. And in that interaction, because of just something he was giving off during our interaction, especially when it came to like protection of children, something tipped me off. So I want to say I'm shocked, but I'm not.
It's also funny because I've also had a interaction with RJ May. It was one of my first field journalism works. It was about the Help Not Harm bill earlier this year.
Yeah.
And so I was like able to get into Mama Rabbit's restaurant where they hold Freedom Caucus Fridays. And
what a disturbing
that whole deal
thing.
It's such a strange thing.
It's so weird.
That the guy, I don't even know if I can get into. I don't even know if I'll hold off. I'll hold off on some of it. But for the most part, there was everything was off. The whole deal was off. But I was getting footage. I was going around, trying to make sure not to hit anybody with my camera and all that.
Freedom of press.
And so then it was like, yeah, and it was just like trying to make sure everything's straight.
Freedom to beat you into the ground.
Yeah, and anyway, RJ May shows up a little late to the event, and so I'm just trying to listen to him too. And the guy, one of the brothers who actually it's just the brother that owns Mama Rabbits or is part owner, is John Allen. He's a Republican that helps host a lot of the Freedom Caucus events. And again, they were really hitting hard about mainly voting conservative, but when they were talking about policy, they were talking about banning transgender reassignment surgery on children in the state. And so I I would talk to John Allen, and he was just like, look, if you want to get a conservative perspective, like RJ May is your guy, and he's here, and I'm sure he'd want to talk and all this. So John Allen walks over, talks to him for a minute, and then he finally walks over to me, and he does a 25-minute interview with me, and I'm talking with him about all the stuff. But it's a little, and again, this is an ongoing investigation, but it's funny to me, a little ironic that someone who, as you have said, also tried to talk a lot about protecting children. And I hope to God this isn't like, I hope he's not guilty. I mean, nobody wants any harm to be done to any child ever. But the irony in the situation is so strange. And I want to reach out to Brad Hutto as well, because he was my Democrat source for that story as well. And the before and after, anyone who is on my stuff can actually go back and watch. It's titled like a Help Not Harm. It's a plug. Help Not Harm.
Bill, we didn't agree to this. Stop it.
Yeah.
No, Zach, let him go.
Back and look.
We're not going to feel so bad about not paying him. He's going to start paying us.
That's right. How the tables have turned.
Yeah. Go to My Media, Be Fry Official. You can see it right here.
The links are in the notes.
You can go watch that package, but I looked back at it, and when I saw it, you sent me the article, and I was just like, oh my God, like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And like, it's all I've been thinking about for like at least 48 hours.
Yeah. There's
strange dude. I will say he's a strange dude.
There is something to be said about how hard sometimes these Republicans are really the only example I can think of, because I don't know. I'd have to look it up. I'm just saying
he lashed out at an act of kindness. That's the wildest shit I've ever heard.
Oh, it was such. It was.
I was just questioning my manhood. Like that's.
I was just in shock. This 4'8" little person.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not very.
That's what calls.
He's like 5. He's like 5'3". He was a Marine. Was he a Marine?
I could bury you like a carrot, homeboy.
5'3" makes sense. Yeah. If he was a Marine, 5'3" makes sense.
Not you could have thrown crayons on the ground. I know Marines. It's fine to do that joke.
Yeah, I remember dropping my camera to down on the tripod.
These all sound like digs, but they're legit.
We're looking right out the window, big dog.
So I said this didn't surprise. I mean, I wanted to be shocked, but I'm not ultimately shocked. There is an element of this story that I am shocked by, and that is the fact that of all of the media that we have in South Carolina, Will Folks of the Fitz News is the only. Well, I take it back. Almost the only person that's actually done any of the investigating or reporting on this story. The Arena also published and referenced Folks' article. So the Arena is in town also reporting on this. The issue that I have is we have local television, we have the state, we have the Courier, Post and Courier, that none of them in the last 48 hours have reported on this from what I've seen whatsoever. And I keep looking over and over and over. The state doesn't have it.
2. Yeah, I was shocked. The state didn't break it immediately. I mean, that's a huge deal.
It's small, it's big, but it's small, right? Like, I think that if it's turns out to be horrid, which I hope it does, and I'm with you, Bill. I hope that he didn't do any of it.
Yeah, I hope it was all false allegations and it was just somebody messing with him. I mean, no child should be hurt, and
but it would only be bigger if it is bigger, if that makes sense. I don't blame other ones for not getting on it at the moment. If he's arrested, I think that's when you start getting it. Even if he's detained for questioning, that's when you're going to start getting it.
I just have the hardest understand. I mean, my thing is if it were one of the Democrats in office, would there be this silence around it? And I don't think there would be.
No.
I don't know. We don't know. We genuinely don't know.
am speculating that I think that, and there would be statements by other Democrats in the House or in the Senate.
Has he said anything?
No, there's been no comment. They've the Fitz News apparently has they have reportedly reached out several times, not gotten any answer by email, phone call, or text message. So,
yeah, I don't know. Fitz News
and the Freedom
Fitz
Caucus
News
hadn't
weird.
said anything. The
Fitz
Freedom
News
Caucus
is weird. Don't get that wrong either.
That's not that. Yeah, you cannot deny that.
There was a doctor that I used to go to that I couldn't go to anymore because she vanished, and the Fitz News was like, it's a elaborate affair going on, and I don't know, but I'm like, I'm not trusting Fitz News. I have to find a new doctor now, but like they built the whole story out of it.
Well,
I don't.
At least the investigation is public enough that while we don't have the details, or at least the reporting of this article didn't have the details on what was seized and what the intent of the search warrant was. There was
you said hard drives. They confirmed that
they did take hard drives. They did take some material.
Is there no public domain for this investigation like that?
If that stuff was being stuff was being captured as evidence for like a grand jury, we won't know about it until after the grand jury.
So right now we're virtually believing TMZ.
Except that law enforcement acknowledged that they did partake in a search warrant of RJ May's house.
That there and for a search warrant. Then again, there could be false things. There could be a lot of things, but also to get a search warrant in the first place,
the warrant should be public knowledge, right?
Unless it was involved in evidence gathering for a grand jury.
Okay.
If they haven't convened the grand jury yet, then it's they don't want that out there.
From what you guys say, he's a weirdo. There's a big factor here.
Ultimately, I'm just putting this out there. I did get selected for federal grand jury for the next year. At any point in time, I could get a letter in the mail that asked me if I'm available at such and such date, to which then I would potentially be on a federal grand jury or a federal jury. So,
as a juror, when you go to Trump's indictment, are you able to flip them off? Are you able to do any of that?
I don't think. I think the suggestion.
I'm pretty sure you're fully not allowed to.
Don't interact with them whatsoever.
Can you mean mug?
I'll tell you. Do y'all want to hear just one last funny story? I know we are at an hour 23.
No, we're done.
I just had one other thing to say.
Exactly. No, you cannot tell your story.
No. Wait. It was funny because you were talking about Fitz News, the whole deal. There's a lot of weird stuff about Fitz News. As a broadcast journalist, I didn't know about it until like the beginning of this year that it was a media source.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember if it was. I think it was after I had reached out. I was reaching out to a bunch of people for internships. Just so y'all know, y'all were on with the first ones. So
I thought you did this. Y'all were at the bottom of the list. And
I called and I called and I called and I called.
No, y'all were the first ones. I was like, I need to remember this. I've had like all y'all stuff.
You know what? For next year, for next year, the intern that picks us second to last is in. That's
hey,
it's a lottery now.
But Fitz News was one of the places that I was thinking about, and then I talked to one of my professors, and they were just like, "That's a very libertarian thing. Like, you should go probably look into that more before you do it." And then, yeah, I was like, that'd have been funny if I had gotten something from them, and then
the founder of Fitz News looks like Anton LaVey who started the Satanist church.
He's
like, I'm talking 80s Satanists, like we believe in Satan. Yeah, so
I will say this: I've never been a huge fan of the mustache and goatee sort of look.
It's not a good look.
But
here you are, growing one.
I used to work with a guy who, for some reason, wore it all the time, and every time we looked at it, we were like, "He's been to prison." I know he's been to prison. That's all I'll say.
If he didn't ride a motorcycle, then
okay, Zach's gonna take it further. I see what we're doing. Yeah. Well, if he weren't bald, Zach,
if we look like a naked mole rat. If he didn't look like a naked Moldrack, fucked a Ninja Turtle and had a whatever that was, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
If he didn't have that mole on his left buttocks with the
he was even cool. He was less cool than Donatello. Had a floppy dildo for a weapon.
I think that's where we wrap this up.
Yeah.
I love it because me and Barrett know who we're talking about. This is fantastic.
100%. And he'll sell you eggs too. Wherever you want, he'll meet you.
Goat eggs.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Let's
Wow.
get to it for episode number 218.
What do you mean you never
Zach
had platypus eggs?
Zach and Bill. Links to past episodes, podcast platforms, merchandise, social media, all available at our website, theallaboutnothing.com. And if you think our financial model of giving away free content and entertainment is silly and you're in the giving mood, why not become an official Nothinger and support the show monthly? Members can get early access to this episode as well as exclusive content, or you can make a one-time donation through our same link, theallaboutnothing.com. If you'd like to be a part of the show, you can also call and leave us a message, 803-672-0533. You can email the show at theallaboutnothing.com, or you can join our Discord server. Links are available at theallaboutnothing.com. Guys, thank you very much. We talked about a lot.
Barrett.
I don't think we solved
Thank you.
anything. I feel like that is
Not one thing.
that's just how it goes around here. That's it.
Yeah, we figured out RJ May. I think we got it.
Yeah.
I think we have a good understanding of
He may not have done all this. He's weird.
again, I hope he didn't, because that means that someone's been victimized. Ultimately,
Right.
Yeah.
that's what that means. And I don't want that to have happened. So
Even if this is false, don't introduce them to your children.
yeah. And
Yeah.
all right. So we'll wrap it up. Bill, give us a potential catchphrase.
And that's my camera. And that's what I think about that. Or my finger.
All right.
The camera's off to the side. I have a whole wide view. And then I'm going and just
That.
that.
All of that.
And that's my fucking opinion, America.
All right. You all stay safe, be kind, and
Keep your hands to yourself.
The All About Nothing podcast is produced and engineered by me, Barrett Gruber. Thanks to Cake for our intro music, Sick of You. You can follow everything Cake the band at cakemusic.com. Thanks to Muff the producer for our outro music. You can follow Muff on Instagram at Muff the producer. I am Barrett Gruber. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Barrett Gruber, or visit my Linktree /Barrett Gruber. Want to support the show? Visit our webpage, theallaboutnothing.com, and become a member. There are several tiers available, including memberships that give you early access to episodes as well as exclusive content. Visit theallaboutnothing.com. Find links to our social media, merchandise, and past episodes. Visit theallaboutnothing.com. If you'd like to be heard on the show, you can call and leave us a message. Dial 803-672-0533. If the time between these episodes is more than you can handle, check out our partner podcast. Zach and I host What the Pod Was That with Carrie Simmons. Visit whatthepodwasthat.com for links and details. Me takes a deep dive down the rabbit hole in episodes of Welcome to Wonderland. Available on all the podcast platforms. Visit WTWLpod.com for details. As well, you can listen to the political and social conversation between Dr. Jamela Brooks and Bill Kimmler on Black, White, and Blue in the South, available wherever you listen to podcasts. Please subscribe and share this show. If you're on YouTube, please like and hit the notification bell. Thank you for listening. The preceding podcast is a product of Big Media and copyright 2024, all rights reserved.